Hey everybody, Omar Zenhom here, the co-founder and CEO of Webinar Ninja. It's great to be here. Thanks for attending my session. In today's session, I'm going to be showing you how to craft a webinar that builds trust and turns attendees into buyers. Okay, that's what we want. We want people to turn into customers. I'm going to show you 5 steps, 5 clear steps so you could build authority and make more sales on your next webinar. That's my promise to you. By the end of today's session, you're going to know exactly what to do so you can run a fantastic webinar to make more sales. Okay, so let's jump right into it. What we're going to be covering in today's session. Okay, today's menu, we're going to be talking about the big picture. Why should you run webinars? Do these things work? How does it fit into your business? You know, we need to have some context here. We're also going to talk about the 5 steps that I just mentioned in creating and delivering an effective webinar. If I had to underline a word here, it'd be delivering, okay? You know your stuff, you know your workshop, but do you know how to deliver it effectively so people actually resonate with what you're saying? And we'll talk about that. And that leads me to the next point, a crash course in live webinar performance. We're going to be talking about how you can be your best self, you know, on the webinar, whether you're using slides and talking over the slides with your mic, or you're going to be on camera sometime. How do you make sure that you not only give great information, but it's engaging and people really enjoy the process and they really feel like, hey, this person really knows what they're talking about. And then after that, I'll show you how to implement everything I talked about. We want to take action, okay? We want to see how we can create a webinar. I'm going to give you a demo of Webinar Ninja, just a quick demo of how you can create webinars and implement what I just taught today. And then, of course, I'll be giving a special offer for those who want to get started. If you want to start getting results with webinars right now, I'm going to be giving a special offer for those who want to take action, just to sweeten things up for you, to make it easy for you to take that leap. All right, let's jump into it. So, a little bit about me. I'm Omar Zenhom. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Webinar Ninja. This is my partner in life, my partner in business, Nicole Baldino. In our free time, we love to travel the world when we can and see fantastic cultures. Here's Nicole and I in Tuscany. But before all of Webinar Ninja, I started a program called the $100 MBA, which is a business course. It's an online program. And we have a podcast called the $100 MBA Show that is very popular on iTunes. It's won Best of iTunes back in 2014. And I got started in webinars because I was running webinars to build that community. And I just didn't like all the software options out there. It was either too clunky, too hard to use, or I had a hodgepodge, a whole bunch of softwares, Frankenstein it together. I'm sure a bunch of you are nodding your heads right now knowing exactly what I'm talking about. So I created something small so I can run my webinars with it. And the attendees on my webinars were like, hey, what are you using for this webinar? And I was like, just something I put together. And they're like, well, can I buy it? And that was kind of light bulb moment. Man, other people have this problem too. Maybe I can help them solve it as well. We started with 250 beta members. Today we have over 14,000 members. And that's how we got started with webinars. Before that, even before I was an entrepreneur, I was a high school and university teacher. So giving workshops like this is something that I've been doing for years and I really enjoy. I don't want to say it comes natural to me because my first couple years in the classroom were horrific. I had to learn the hard way. But when I was a teacher, I was building businesses on the side. I was building e-commerce businesses like my own clothing line. And that's how I got my business chops, by making mistakes, by starting early before any of the technology was around. So this is a little bit of a timeline of our progression. We started doing webinars. We started building Webinar Ninja. And then from there, we started iterating from Webinar Ninja 1.0 to 2.0 to 3.0 to today, which we have 5.0 with over 14,000 users. So really proud of that progression. So let's talk about webinars and why you would want to use them, okay? So any business that you have, whether you're a blogger, you're a consultant, you're a coach, you're a photographer, whether you have a software company, whatever your product or service is, at the end of the day, you have to make sales, right? You have to bring in new customers so you can stay alive, so you can still pay the bills, so you can live the lifestyle that you want, okay? So the question is, do webinars help? Do webinars actually make sales? If so, then we should implement them, right? So statistically, 15% of people that attend a webinar will buy something from you. This is a study that was done by ConvertKit on not only the webinars they've done, but other webinars as well as webinar providers like us. So what you really need to focus on here is that yes, if somebody attends a webinar of yours, right, whether they watch it live or the replay, they will buy your product at some point. 15% of them will buy. Okay, that means right now you're leaving so much cash on the table by not doing webinars. Okay, and I'm going to give you a quick equation to know what that looks like. Okay, so the average conversion rate on a registration page, that's the page that people sign up on the webinar, on cold traffic, people never heard of you, is 30%. So say, for example, you have 300 people visit your page, okay, 100 people will register. Okay, from those registrants, you have a 40% on average show up rate. Now, we've seen higher than this with our platform, but hey, we're going to look at the industry averages here. Okay, 40% will show up. So 100 registrants, 40 people will show up to the webinar, and if 15% of people buy, according to the statistics, okay, on that webinar, that's 8 sales. If you have a $500 product, whether it's a course, a software, a program, a coaching, group coaching, whatever it is, that's $4,000 you just made on a 1-hour webinar, okay? How many times can you be able to just demand $4,000 and have it and summon $4,000 that easily? Well, I'm not going to say it's super easy, because nothing that is worth anything in life is easy. You're going to have to do some work, obviously putting the workshop together. But the point is that you're able to command sales. You're able to convert people into buyers on cue. Okay, and with this equation, you can put in your own numbers and say, okay, if that's all the averages, and I know if my product is $300, I'll work the math that way. If my product is $1,000, I can change the variables. But I wanted to show you in clear black and white, or in yellow and blue in this case, in real numbers, what does that mean for you, and what does that mean for sales for your business? Okay. So here's another example. This is an example that was published by Teachable. This is Scott Britton. Scott Britton was running a webinar to sell his course. He created a course on Teachable called Udemy Fast Track. Okay, Udemy Fast Track is a course that he was selling. He has an email list of 16,000. It's quite reasonable, right? And he had 759 people to sign up from that webinar. This is using the same rates we talked about before. Then 232 people attended. Okay, his attendance rate was 30. Okay. So it was 30, was lower than average, but he still made 40 sales, okay? And it made $11,286 of revenue on one webinar to sell his course, okay? So you could see that it's just an equation. And if I can get people to my webinar, that's it. They're on the webinar, I'm gonna get a conversion rate, and from there I can make some sales. We all have heard of John Lee Dumas. John Lee Dumas runs Entrepreneur on Fire, the podcast, or Entrepreneurs on Fire, I should say, the podcast, as well as he sells an online course called Podcaster's Paradise, which is a course on how to start your own podcast. And in his own income reports, he says, hey, you can do this. You can run and make money with webinars, right? He made over $4 million on webinars, $4 million in revenue using webinars to sell his course. So the sky's the limit, really. And John, I know him personally. He's a friend of ours. I met him in person. He's not a robot, right? He's not, a cyborg. He's a human being, and you can do it too, okay? I say that because a lot of people think that John is super hardworking, and he is, but he is human, and he does pull this off because he has a system, and he runs his webinars consistently, and he sells his courses. As long as he gets the people to go there, and he gets that conversion, he's good to go. Okay. I also want to mention that it's not just individuals. Companies like Baremetrics and Podia and LearnSignal and Subly and B Finance use our software, Webinar Ninja, and they grow their companies and they grow their business with sales with webinars that way. They run demos, they qualify candidates with our automated webinars, all kinds of stuff like that. Okay, so that covers that first point. Now, I want to give you a gift. Okay, this gift is going to give you peace of mind. It's going to help you with every webinar you do, and that's giving you a singular goal for every webinar. It doesn't matter if you're running this webinar to grow your email list, to make sales, if you're doing a joint webinar, if you're doing affiliate sales, it doesn't matter, okay? Often when we run a webinar or we say, okay, we're going to do a webinar, you think about a billion things in your head and it gets overwhelming. You think about how many people are going to attend, how many people are going to sign up, how many people are going to buy, what are we going to do, what about my slides? Should I include this information? Maybe I'm talking too much. How long is my demo? All this stuff is going in your head, right? A lot of stuff is going to get cleared up after today's workshop, but I want to give you a singular thing to focus on. The goal you need to have for every webinar is to build trust. That's it. You need to build trust with your audience, because if they don't trust you, they're not going to buy from you. And what's great about webinars is that it allows you to talk to people directly like I'm doing right now, except it's live and back and forth with people, and you're able to build trust quickly, okay? And that's what you need to do. So anything that you're thinking about before the webinar, after the webinar, during the webinar, ask yourself, does this build trust, okay? And we're going to talk about that in each step. There has to be a trust building activity in each step so we can make sure that, hey, I got your back. I have your best interest in mind. I want to make sure that you win with my product and not just sell you the product so I can make some money, okay? As long as you instill that in everything you do, building trust, they're going to buy, okay? Whether now on the webinar, whether later down the road, they're not going to go shopping around. They're going to come back to you. And that's what you want to do, build trust on every webinar. Okay. Let's get into the 5 steps of delivering an effective webinar. Step 1, you're going to choose a topic, okay? That's the first thing you got to do. You got to find a topic that people want to hear about that solves an issue, okay? How are we going to do this? Number 1, you're going to forget about passion for a second, okay? You're going to forget about, hey, I love this, I love that. You're going to think of value. Where can you add the most value in your webinar? When you run a workshop, what value can you add the most? I always give this example. If I was starting a travel blog, okay, I wouldn't, I'm very passionate about Japan, for example. I love Japan, love Japanese food. I'm fascinated with the culture, right? And, it would make sense, hey, I'm passionate about Japan, to run a webinar on, visiting Japan for my travel blog, right? The only problem is I've never been to Japan and I don't speak Japanese. And to be honest with you, I don't know many Japanese people, okay? So I can't add a lot of value. Even though I'm super passionate about Japan, I love it, I read all these books and all this stuff like that, it doesn't matter. Where can I add the most value? Well, my parents are Egyptian. They migrated from Egypt to the States, and I was born there. But every summer, we used to go back home. They call it home, Egypt, right? Every summer, we used to go to Egypt and visit our family, right? Our extended family. And I was there over a dozen times when I was growing up. And as an adult, I've been there a whole bunch of times. I'm fluent in Arabic. I can teach you how to haggle. I can teach you where the best spots are, how you can save money, right? I'm not super passionate about Egypt, but I can add the most value there, right? I'm more passionate about Japan. But if you think about where can you add the most value in your workshop, right? Now, if you are out of ideas and you're not sure, but you think, here are some things I can add value, you can put it up on social and say, hey guys, I'm thinking about running a webinar and covering this topic as a workshop, right? Here are a few topics, or this topic, or a few topics I'm thinking about that I can really add value in. Which one resonates with you? Okay, you can say, this one resonates with me. That's one option, okay? If you're you can crowdsource that information, get all that information from social, on Facebook, on Twitter, on whatever, right? The other option is make your first webinar an Ask Me Anything webinar. Just Q&A. Hey, I'm an expert at, basketball coaching. I'm a basketball coach, and I'm going to be doing an Ask Me Anything webinar. Ask me about defense, offense, dribbling, shooting, passing, whatever. And from there, when the people are asking questions on the webinar in the Q&A, you're going to save all those questions. This gets done automatically with Webinar Ninja. All the questions that get asked get saved in your database. And then the hot questions that people ask, and they really ask you to elaborate on, or frequently asked questions, that becomes the topic for your next webinar, because it's a hot idea. People really want to learn more about that, okay? Next, once you have a general understanding of what your webinar is going to be about, you want to get as specific as possible. Why? Because if you're not specific, it's going to be very hard for you to deliver on that promise. Your webinar topic, your webinar title is a promise, right? I'm going to show you 5 steps to delivering an effective webinar, right? My title is all about, how you can create or craft a webinar that is going to be easy to deliver, as well as get you people from being attendees to customers, convert them into customers, okay? I have to show you that specifically. If I don't, you're going to lose trust in me. Remember the trust thing we talked about? Okay? So make sure you get specific, very, very specific about what your webinar is all about. So if I'm a basketball coach and I say my next webinar is how to be an amazing basketball player, no, not specific enough. I can't deliver on that promise, right, in an hour. Let's get specific. What about basketball? Offense or defense? Offense. What about offense? Shooting or dribbling or passing? Shooting. Okay, what kind of shooting? Jump shooting, three-point shooting, free throw shooting? You get the point. Get as specific as possible. so that you can deliver on that promise. It's all about expectations. People see a topic. If you cover that topic, they feel like you've delivered. You earn their trust, and therefore you earn their business. Okay. Again, you have to have an actionable outcome, okay? Make sure they know what they're going to get at the end of the webinar. They need to be able to do something, right? At the end of this workshop, you're going to be able to do something. You're going to be able to create a webinar and run one by yourself and feel confident, okay? What's your actionable outcome for your webinar? What will they be able to do? You have to be able to finish the sentence. At the end of this webinar, they will be able to do what? All right? So that's step number one. Choose a topic. Forget passion, think value, get specific, have an actionable outcome. Okay, next. We're going to create a lesson out of this topic, right? This is the workshop portion of our webinar, right? So we're going to create 5 steps, 5 parts, or 5 tips out of that specific webinar topic. So if I'm saying I'm a basketball coach and my title is How to Improve Your Free Throw Shooting by 10% in 2 weeks. Okay, that's my specific title. I'm going to create 5 steps to do that. I'm going to give them 5 drills that they can do in the next 2 weeks so they can do that. There's a reason why I recommend 5 or fewer, because in order for anybody to learn something, to gain a skill, 2 things have to happen. And this comes from my teaching background, okay? 1, they have to comprehend, they have to understand what you're saying. And number 2, they have to be able to retain it. They have to be able to remember what you said so they can actually reproduce it, okay? Especially if it's steps, because they have to remember the order as well. So you want to give them 5 parts, 5 tips, 5 steps to delivering that outcome, to delivering that topic, okay? If you're confused, always work backwards, okay? This is the end result. This is where we want to get. What's the step before that? What's the step before that till we get there? After I've created my steps, my parts, my tips, whatever they are, I'm going to ask myself this question. Does the lesson deliver on its promise, right? If not, 2 things have to happen. Either I have to add a step or add a part or something like that, add more information, right? If I'm already maxed out at 5, that means I need to get more specific. The second option is to get more specific with my topic. It's too broad. I can't cover everything in that time. I can't get them to that point where I deliver on my promise. Okay? So we're going to create that lesson with 5 steps, 5 parts, 5 tips. We're going to outline it, right? And we're going to work backwards, and we're going to make sure we deliver on our promise. Okay, step 3. Okay, we're going to create a presentation deck. This is slides, what I'm using right now, right? To use when we run our webinar. Okay, so we're going to take those 5 steps, those 5 parts, and we're going to insert them into our slides, but we're going to add a few other slides. We're going to have a title slide, which is basically the topic of the webinar. And this is, again, to set up expectations. Hey, guys, this is what today's webinar is all about. This is my promise to you. Number 2, you can have an agenda slide. You saw my agenda slide at the start. It said, this is what we're going to cover today. Remember, we were trying to build trust here. So you want to be transparent. So if you're making an offer at the end of the webinar, say, hey, I'm making an offer. I'm going to give a special offer for those who want to take action, just like I did, right? I want to build trust with you. I want to make sure that you understand this is what I'm going to do. And I say it before I do it. So it's congruent. Nothing worse than being on a webinar where it's like you're learning in the workshop and all of a sudden it becomes a sales pitch and you're like, well, I wasn't aware this was going to happen. And you feel a little bit hoodwinked. You don't want to do that. You don't want to break trust. You don't want to ruin the trust you built. Okay, so make sure that you have everything you're going to cover in the agenda slide. It's basically just to set up expectations and have a menu. Here's what we're going to be doing. Next, we have a host slide. You saw that I had a host slide talking about myself, a little bit, just an introduction. Who's your host? Who am I? And really what you want to do here is not spend too much time. Spend 2 to 3 minutes max. And really what you want to stress or talk about in your host slide is the relevant information to the workshop. Okay, so you may have noticed in my workshop, this one you're on right now, I mentioned some things about me that have to do with my journey to the point where I am right now, where I'm delivering this webinar. Right? Why am I teaching you this workshop? Sorry, not webinar, but this workshop. Right? Why am I teaching you about webinars? Well, this is my background. I started doing webinars because I'm trying to sell my product. Right? And this is how I started Webinar Ninja. Right? And now I'm going to show you what I learned along the way of doing over 500 webinars, right? I could have went on and talked about a whole bunch of other accolades, other things I've done in my life, right? Some people spend like 10 to 20 minutes on their host slide, and it's just irrelevant. Forget the irrelevant information. People are always asking in their head, hey, what's in it for me? Why do I need to know this? Okay, so only give them the relevant information about yourself that supplements, that gives context to your actual workshop. Okay, then your next slides are going to be 5 slides for your parts, your steps, your tips, the ones that we just talked about, the actual lesson. Okay, now this is just a very rough formula, the 1-1-1-5-1-1 formula, but you can add a slide, remove a slide. This is just sort of a template you can use, okay? But this gives you some guidelines. So you have 5 slides for each part. You can make it 2 slides for each part, but you get the point. Then I have a slide that prompts people, hey, we're gonna have Q&A time. Let's answer some questions. And then an offer slide if you're making an offer, okay? These are the slides. Now you may share your screen to show a demo, and that's totally cool too, okay? So that's what we're doing. We have an offer slide. We have a Q&A slide, then an offer slide, and that's good because you display exactly what is on the offer, what's included. You may want to put some visuals, some pictures, things like that, and that makes it super clear. Now, you may be thinking, hey, can I get a template? That we have an actual PowerPoint and Keynote file template with this formula implemented where you can just replace the images, your logos, the text, the actual content of your workshop, and I'll show you how you can get that, okay, at the end of the webinar. All right. Let's move right on. So step 1, choose a topic. Step 2, create a lesson. Step 3, create a presentation deck. Now we're going to incorporate interaction. This is where we get people to learn and really feel like, wow, okay, this is a different type of webinar. This webinar is pro. This webinar automatically gives them this impression that this person knows what they're doing, okay? So this is what we're going to do. Number 1, we're going to meet and greet, and then when I say meet and greet, it's not just, hey, there's John from Minnesota, okay? You want to get to know them a little bit, find out where they're from, maybe a little anecdote. Hey, I've been to Minnesota once. I was just in transit, okay? Connect briefly with them as much as you can. Why? Because these are real people and you want to get to know them because these could be your clients. These could be your customers that are going to be the lifeline for your business, okay? But you don't want to spend too much time just going back and forth with banter. When people enter your webinar, they should feel like this is a different type of situation. This is a different experience, okay? I've been on a lot of webinars, right? But I went on, this person's webinar and it was totally different and I was really pleasantly pleased, okay? So what you want to do is you want to create a different kind of impression when they enter the webinar. So the first thing I like to tell people periodically as they're entering the webinar, hey, welcome to the webinar. Let me know where you're coming from in the chat. And answer this question. I put them on task as soon as they get in. Answer this question. What would be a win for you today? Okay? And I asked them to answer that question in the chat. Why? Because I want them to enter the webinar and realize this is a place where we're going to do some work. We're going to do things. I'm going to expect you to interact. So automatically get in, oh, I got to start working. They're asking me a question. What would be a win for me today? Okay, I would like to learn this. This is why I signed up. Basically, you're asking them why they signed up so you can be able to deliver great value. Another thing that's great about this question is that you get great feedback so you know what to cover for this particular webinar. These people, maybe they're beginners, maybe they're intermediate, maybe they are very concerned about one area that you need to cover. So whether you're in your workshop, you want to stress that area, or in your demo when you're talking about your product, you want to show how your product addresses that need. Okay, this is going to make it so much easier to close for your sales. I also like to run a poll. You can run polls, multiple polls inside of Webinar Ninja, and it allows you to get people to interact in a non-confrontational way. It gets the introverted off the bench and gets them to gets those introverted people to participate, and it allows you to also get a pulse. And it could be a simple thing like when I run my webinars, like how many webinars have you ran in the past? And I'll give them some choices, and they just click a button, and you can be able to get them to interact, and they get to see the results as well. And of course, during the webinar, you want to answer questions, and you may want to allot some times, whether it's halftime and then another time at the end, to answer questions. The whole point of webinars is that it's interactive. It goes back and forth, okay? And that you can help people with their specific needs, okay? So encourage people to ask questions. So at the start, I meet and greet. I tell them, hey, what would be a win for you today? Let me know in the chat. I read those out. Hey, for Janet, this is her win today. For Carl, this is the win it would be for him today, right? I run a poll. I also take the time to answer questions, okay? But I also make sure I let them know questions are expected. So I say, hey guys, listen, anytime you have a question along the way, pop them in the questions area. And in Webinar Ninja, we have a dedicated questions area outside the chat so they don't get lost in the chat. So you can go straight to the questions area and answer questions. So I always say this, hey, if you have any questions right now before we get started, put it down. If you have any questions during, like I'm going too fast or you want me to elaborate on something, put it down. If you have questions later on about the product, about the demo, put it down. Okay, so encourage them to ask questions. I love this quote by Benjamin Franklin. Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn. This is what we want to do. We want to involve them. We want them to feel like, wow, that was interactive. I went back and forth. This person was really cared and taught me and asked me what I wanted out of the webinar, right? And this is totally a different kind of experience I've ever had on a webinar before. And that's what you want to do, is to really differentiate yourself in that way. Okay, that's step 4, to incorporate interaction. Step 5, let's perform. Let's make sure that we put on a great performance. I say performance. No, you're not doing a Broadway play, but you want to make sure you put on your best self. You want to make sure that people say, hey, this person's a pro, they know what they're doing, and they know how to deliver it. It's clear, it's concise, it makes sense. Okay, so how we're going to do that? The first thing you're going to do is you're going to make sure that you take time to rehearse. So you're going to have your slides ready, you're going to have your webinar ready. You want to run through the whole thing as if you're running a webinar, just like I'm doing right now, okay? On your own. You can even screen record yourself so you can watch it later on, or you can run a test webinar and the webinar will record itself on Webinar Ninja and you can watch the replay. The point is that you want to get the words out before you actually have to do it live, okay? In your head is different from real life, okay? I always give this example. We all have an Uncle Bob in our family. Uncle Bob says the same joke on Thanksgiving, right? He says the same exact joke for the last 40 years, but we all still laugh at that joke. He says the punchline, hey, gobble, gobble, and we all laugh, ha, right? And why do we keep laughing at Uncle Bob's joke? Because his delivery is on point. It's not about the content. It's about the delivery. So rehearsal helps you nail your delivery. Right? Make sure that when you say something, it's clear, it's concise, and you haven't said it for the first time. When you say something for the 5th time, it's always going to sound better than the first. If you say something for the 10th time, it's always going to sound better than the 5th. You get the point. So you want to take the time to rehearse. It's only going to take 1 hour of your time to go through it, so it's out in the open. The more you rehearse, the better you're going to perform live on the webinar. Okay? Number 2, energy. You'll see that, okay, I try to put some energy into my workshops, into my webinars. I hope I put in some energy today in today's performance or today's session. And the reason why I say this is because energy equals positivity, and people associate your energy to your product, right? When they see your product, when they see your site, when they see your webinar, they're going to say, okay, this person cares, it's good, it's positive. There's nothing worse than being associated with negativity, which is low energy. I mean, imagine I'm giving this workshop right now with low energy. Here's how it's going to sound. First, you have to rehearse. Rehearsal is very important. You have to be able to, say things over and over before you actually go live, so that you sound clear and concise, and you make sure you convey your information properly. As you can see, it's a different vibe completely. I put you to sleep there for a second, right? So the point here is that I'm not asking you to be something you're not. I'm asking you to crank it up a couple notches. If you're regularly a 5, crank it up to a 7. If you're regularly a 7, put it up to a 9. I'm not like this all the time in my life. I don't, at the dinner table say, hey, pass the greens, let's do it. No, I'm not this energetic all the time. I'm not asking you to be, like the late Robin Williams all the time. I'm just asking you to pump up the energy a little bit, because you're trying to convey your positivity, convey your enthusiasm to help them out through the camera, through the mic, across the web, and you want to make sure that you resonate with them in their living room, in their office, wherever they are. Okay. Number 3, be transparent. We talked about this. To build trust, you have to be transparent. It's okay for you to say, hey, this is my first webinar. I'm going to roll with it. I'm going to try my best. Okay. Be honest. Fun is a priority. Fun is a priority. Have fun. People can tell when you're having fun. You have a choice. You can either have fun or you can not have fun. So you might as well just have some fun, right? So make sure you have some fun along the way. People will see that you're having fun and will enjoy it because of that. Lastly, be flexible, okay? You're not always going to be giving a flawless performance. I've already stumbled on my words a couple times in today's workshop, right? It's okay. And I remember my first few webinars, I used to do this fun little game with my attendees. I used to say, hey, if I make a mistake, if I stumble, if I skip a slide, if I do something weird or stupid or whatever, put put in the chat, go Omar, go. Go Omar, go. And it'll encourage me to keep going, right? And every time I would make a mistake, I would see the chat blow up, go Omar, go. And it became a fun game and a way for people to say, hey, this person's relatable. This person's a normal human being. They're not a robot, right? And at the same time, it allowed me to be flexible, allowed me to understand that, hey, some things sometimes are not going to go perfectly right. I may make some mistakes, totally okay. Okay, so to recap, you're going to choose a topic, specific topic. You're going to create a lesson around it. You're going to create that presentation deck. You're going to incorporate interaction, and you're going to give the performance of your life. No, you're going to give the best performance you can, given the tips I just gave you with rehearsal and making sure that you're flexible and all the things we talked about. Okay. So how do we implement this? How do we put this into action? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to transition into Webinar Ninja and show you how you can create a webinar and implement the things I just talked about. Let's go inside of Webinar Ninja now. Okay, I'm in Webinar Ninja now. I'll just go full screen to make this easy. And I'm going to create a webinar. So I'm inside my dashboard. This is my webinars. And I'm going to create a webinar. We create a Webinar Ninja to make it super simple for you to create a webinar. In fact, a lot of our users love this software because it's super simple. Okay, and it makes it easy for them to continue to do webinars. Okay, the easier it is, the more you're going to do it. So with Webinar Ninja, you can create all different types of webinars. You can create live webinars, you can create automated webinars, which are recorded evergreen webinars. You can create a series webinar, which means you have one registration page and they are registered for a series of live or recorded dates. And we have hybrid webinars where you can have a recorded video, but be live in the chat and then the questions. Excuse me there. Okay, so we're going to create a live webinar just so you can see how it all works. And we're going to create a webinar called How to Be Awesome Like Nicole, which is my co-founder, okay? And we're going to make her the co-host. If I'd like, I can add a co-host if I like. It's optional, okay? And I'll just add her email here, nice and easy. And what's cool about this is that when I publish this webinar, she gets an automated email here, and it tells her exactly what to do. There's nothing for me to do. The co-host has exact information, exact instructions. Just click this link and go ahead and start the webinar and be part of the webinar as a co-host. All done for you automatically. Okay, then I'm going to choose a date. Super simple. Let's do this, I don't know, February 4th, and we're going to do it at 2 p.m. PST. That's fine for 1 hour. I'm going to make it a free webinar, but I can make it a paid webinar if I like. We have an integrated Stripe integration, totally free on our end. You just pay the transaction fee for Stripe, and you can make any of these webinars free or paid. But we're going to make this one free to see how cool and easy it is to create a webinar. So what's the next step with creating a webinar with Webinar Ninja? Let's take a look. All right, and as it's processing, it's done. That's it. There's no other step. I am done. This is my webinar here. It's now in draft. All I have to do is hit publish to make it live. If I want to make some changes, I can make some changes. Like say, for example, I want to change this cover photo, make it this one, or one of my images. I have a whole bunch of images here. Let's say this is about basketball. I'll just change this cover image that I've uploaded before. Okay. If I want to edit my registration page, for example, I can do that too. This is the landing page that people register for. So we have all these different kinds of templates I can choose. I can edit the text. I can change the color here if I want for the overlay. You know, if I'd like to do that, I can change again the image. I can upload new images. I can remove the image completely. Okay, I can remove the share button here if I don't want to do social share for some reason. Okay, and anytime I change something, I can just preview it and take a look at what it looks like. If I want to change the template, I can do that too. We have a more detailed template, so you can add more information if you like bullet points and your about area here. Super, super simple to do. I love this, okay? And when I'm happy with it, I can just hit save. And if I want to hit save, I can just do save directly. Or if I'd like, I can save this template and make it my own template and save it to my media library so I can use it in the future. I can also make it default so that way all my future webinars I create uses this template and I never have to edit it again because I'm happy with this one. This is the way I want it for every webinar to save you time. Again, ease of use. But I'm good to go. I don't want to do any of those. I'm just going to hit save and I'm going to exit out. I'm good to go. And that's it. Super simple to edit things if I like. What I love about Webinar Ninja too is that you can also edit the email notifications. Email notifications are great because it allows you to send reminders automatically via email to your registrants, people that register for your webinar. The confirmation email, okay? You can change the copy here. You can make it personalized. You can change the variables here so that way you can give the specific webinar date and time, and it will change automatically for the webinar that you're running. If you create great copy and you want to save it for the future, great. You can just save it as default, and it will use this for every webinar that you create, so you don't have to rewrite it every single time. You want to add a new notification? Super simple as well. You can add new notifications. Boom, 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 boom. Super simple. Okay, super easy to use. I can send this to registrants only, to attendees only, to non-attendees. I can send it relative to like the webinar, like 12 minutes after the webinar starts. Okay, send them this email. Or after it ends, I can change this to like hours or days, up to me. Super cool. So as you can see, you can modify and edit things modify and edit a whole bunch of things inside of Webinar Ninja. And the thing that I love about it is you could save it as default. So once you have created your first webinar and you've modified and edited things the way you like it, that's it. Every time you hit create webinar, it saves as default and it's done, and you don't have to edit anything after that. We also have integrations with over 1,000 apps via Zapier. We also have direct integrations with email marketing softwares like ActiveCampaign and Infusionsoft. We allow you to embed a registration form right on your site so you can get registrants that way. A whole bunch of stuff. But if I want to publish my webinar, I can hit publish. And if I want to make this webinar public, that means it's open to the public. We're going to optimize it so it's found on Google easily. You're just going to add a category because we're also going to add you to what we call the Webinar Finder. Okay, the Webinar Finder is basically our webinar search engine, okay? And a lot of people go to the Webinar Finders, like the YouTube of webinars, to learn about new topics. I'll show you what that looks like. But I can also make this private, which means if I'm doing a private coaching call or it's a bonus or something like that, I don't want to make this easily found on Google. I can also do that. But if I go to my Webinar Finder here, let's just open the Webinar Finder in a new tab. Okay, I'll just go right here, boom. You'll see here this is the Webinar Finder, and it's super, super simple to use and to navigate. So people go here all the time to check out what's webinar starting soon, and you get more attendees this way. We ran a survey with all our members to find out, hey, what kind of features you want? And they said, hey, we want more attendees. So we built this search engine to get people more attendees and to give them more exposure. So we built in marketing for you inside of Webinar Ninja. The best way to see how Webinar Ninja is super simple to use and a good fit for you and your business is to start a free trial. Let me show you how you can do that. So I'm going to switch back to my slides. Okay. So when you start with Webinar Ninja, you're going to get all these great features that differentiates us from the rest of the other providers. We use a technology called WebRTC, which is zero delay. That means when you say something, your audience hears it immediately. That means if you say to somebody, hey, let me know in the chat where you're coming from, they hear it immediately, and then they can respond to you. That makes interaction so much better. With systems like YouTube Live or something like that, they have a delay of up to 30 seconds, which causes a huge disruptance when it comes to interaction. We also have instant chat, Q&A with timestamping. That means when you answer questions, we record when you answer those questions. Super awesome magic. So that way in the replay, people can know exactly when in the replay you answered those questions. We have polls, email software that I showed you. Upload your slides directly inside of Webinar Ninja, and you can navigate and use your slides. That way you don't have to share your screen. We record and archive all your webinars automatically, and you have those saved, and you can download those at any time. 10-second creation, as you saw, registration pages, auto replays. So you'll have automatic replays that happen, and people can register for the replay if they miss it live. We have automated webinars, hybrid webinars, instant offers included as well, and built-in marketing with the Webinar Finder. So we also have a 14-day trial. So if you want to get started, if you want to implement what I just taught you today, you can do that easily, right? And for free, okay? So we don't even charge you a dime for the first 14 days. You have 2 weeks to implement what I just taught, run a few webinars, and get your money's worth, which is going to be ROI positive because you didn't pay anything yet, okay? On day 15 is when you're charged for your plan. We have unlimited webinars. You're allowed to do unlimited webinars. You get free upgrades, free training, and our support team is 24/7 and super helpful, the best in the game. Super proud of those guys. Let's see. So Seven Purdy is one of our power users. They love what Seven Purdy uses this for his company called Subly. He runs webinars for Subly. He's the founder and CEO, and he says, the customer support is extremely responsive. Their product is always one step ahead and, more importantly, more useful than anything else I've seen. It's practical, and I always can't wait to produce the next webinar using Webinar Ninja. Thanks, Steph. I really appreciate that, Steph and Brittany. But I just want to share that testimonial to let you know that our customer support team is there to see you win with webinars. That's our job. Okay. So today's offer, what I want to give you, if you want to get started, I want to give you a little special gift. So with any annual plan, so when you sign up with any annual plan, you're going to get a special bonus bundle. You're going to get $1,200 in bonuses. You're going to get a $500 course called Easy Course. If you go to easycourse.co, this is a course I created to help you build your own online course in 30 days. Me and my buddy Jason Zook created this course. It retails for $500. You're going to get lifetime access to it for free with any annual plan of Webinar Ninja. You're also going to get the course that started all for me, the $100 MBA, which is over 180 video lessons on how to be an entrepreneur. Sales, marketing, idea validation, all kinds of courses to help you build a better business. We also throw in a $500 value course for sales, a sales masterclass. This is a masterclass in webinar sales that I do, and that is included with this bundle, as well as those presentation templates I mentioned. The actual slides, the PowerPoint and Keynote slides that you can use, these are templates that you can use to implement the 1-1-1-5-1-1 formula I mentioned in today's workshop. Okay, you're going to get these $1,200 in bonuses with any annual plan. These get delivered to you automatically on day 15 when your plan starts and you get charged for your annual plan. So if you want to jump on this offer, just go to webinarninja.com/bonuses. Again, that's webinarninja.com/bonuses. Okay, if you're wondering if this is right for me, my advice to you is to sign up and grab this deal and make that choice in the 14-day trial. You're not getting charged, so you have 14 days to decide. Here's another testimonial from Spencer Fry, the founder of Podia, which is a great course platform. Our platform of choice is Webinar Ninja. It's what we use to host all of our live webinars and demos. It's easy to use, and it comes loaded with tons of marketing materials like sign up and thank you pages out of the box. Podia loves Webinar Ninja to the point that they mention us on their blog like every week or something. We just ran a webinar with Webinar Ninja, and it's super easy to use. This is how much money we made this week, and I really encourage you to check that out. But I just wanted to share with you what I know on how to create a webinar that's efficient, that's effective, that delivers results for you to turn them into attendees, into buyers, into customers. Again, today's special offer for those who are on this workshop, just go to webinarninja.com/bonuses to get the $1,200 in bonuses on day 15 after your trial when you sign up with any annual plan. Now, if you're wondering what are the plans, here are our plans. We have our starter plans. It breaks down to $39 a month billed annually, so it's $438 every year for the starter plan. And let me take a sip of water real here quick. Yeah. So it's under $500, around $400 for the starter plan. A lot of people start with the starter and then they upgrade as they get more live attendees. That's the major difference between the plans. The first one is 100 live attendees, so that means 100 people can be on your live webinar. For your recorded webinars, automated webinars, that is unlimited. You can have as many people on that webinar. As you go up, Pro, you're going to get 300 live webinars, 300 live webinar attendees. The Plus is going to have 500 live webinar attendees, and the Power is going to have 1,000 live webinar attendees. Now, the other differentiator is that the starter plan comes with live and automated webinars. The Pro comes with live, automated, and series. The Plus is going to come with live, automated, series, and hybrid webinars. And then the Power also includes all webinar types. Okay, and all the other features we talked about is included in any plan. Okay, once you choose a plan, you're going to see that button on that page at webinarninja.com/bonuses. You're going to click a button. You're going to get to this page, which is the pricing page. You're going to choose one of these plans, and then you're going to just fill out your account information so we can set you up. And then once you do that, you're going to go ahead and fill out your billing information so you're charged seamlessly $468 a year. I think I said $438. Sorry, $468 a year. I want to make sure that's clear for your starter plan. And that is going to also include the bonuses when you click that link, and automatically you're going to get those bonuses on day 15. Okay. You're only going to get charged this price after your 14 days. So on day 15. Okay. After that, it's going to say success. Done. You're ready to go. Your account's ready. All you have to do is click a link inside of your email to activate your account to make sure security is all good and go. All right. That's pretty much it, guys. Again, this is the bundle. This is what you'll get with any annual plan. Thank you so much for being on today's workshop. I hope that I was of value. I hope that I was able to give you a win today. And now that you have a plan of action, now that you have exactly what you need to do, the 5 steps to deliver an effective webinar, you know how to put it together. You now have a tool to do it, Webinar Ninja, so you can run these webinars. Now you can do it for free with a 14-day trial. There's only one question. Are you going to continue to put it off, or are you going to try to capitalize on the power of webinars and get those 15% of people that go on webinars to buy your products or service, right? So you can make more sales and not leave money on the table, okay? The reason why I'm so passionate about my company, Webinar Ninja, and webinars in general is because it helps not only businesses run better webinars, that's just on the surface. It just helps people make more sales. Webinars make people more sales, and it allows me to empower other businesses, keep their businesses going and growing. Thanks again for being here today. Thanks for being in my session. If you have any questions, please head on over to webinarninja.com. Our customer support team is fantastic. They can help you with any questions you have. Thanks again, guys. I'll check you around and hope to see you inside of Webinar Ninja.